President's Day. Who's your favorite president?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I grew up in obviously born in 70, grew up in the 80s. He didn't seem to take any crap from anybody.
No, he didn't.
I liked him. I mean, I don't know. You can't answer Trump, right?
You can answer whatever you want.
No,
Isn't
you
it a
can't.
free country still?
No, you can't. No, it's not. Absolutely not. You can't
I
answer
know.
Trump.
I know.
You
I
can't.
Abe
You
Lincoln.
can't.
Abe
You
Lincoln
can't do
my
what
favorite.
Tiger Woods did this weekend. You
Yeah.
can't do.
Yeah, I didn't understand all that. Can you explain that to me? What happened?
Oh, you didn't see it?
I saw like tweets and and people were defending because it was coming to my feed, but I didn't. I was very busy this week, so I
It
didn't.
depends on who. It depends on who you're talking to. Obviously there's the left and the right, and everything's different. And I was never a political person, and I never grew up in that. I was never raised a Democrat or a Republican. I don't give a crap about any of it. What I care about is my bank account and how the economy is doing. That's what I care about. So a lot of people disagree with that, and they say, there's a lot of other issues you should be focused on, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, but that's me. I'm simple. I want the economy to be good so I can make money. And if it's not, I get upset. So you can't say Trump's your favorite president. You can't, because you get canceled, even for saying that. So Tiger Woods back at the tournament, the Genesis Invitational. He was the host of the tournament. One of maybe two non-majors he's going to do this year. Played well, and 47-year-old guy, back fusion surgery, almost lost his leg in a car accident. All the rehab he's done. He was playing with Justin Thomas and Rory McIlroy the first 2 days, two friends of his, and he was out driving both of them, not consistently, but here and there. And there's this old bet, that they've had for years and years and years, that, if an old man outdrives you, or if Tiger outdrives you, or if anybody outdrives you, doesn't matter, he's old, same age, you hit like a girl. You remember that expression, hit like a girl?
Yeah.
Okay. So we used to use that when I grew up, like, if you were, boxing with your buddies or just goofing around, or football, if somebody hit you and you got up, you're like, you hit like a girl. Back then it was appropriate. Now it's clearly not. It's misogynist, sexist, repulsive. And I don't know if it is or isn't. I don't think about this stuff, like I said. But so he outdrove JT on the 17th, I think. I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday. I think it was Friday. And he slipped him a tampon. As a way of saying you're a girl. People went insane. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't give a crap. It's a joke between them, but somebody caught it on camera. They zoomed in on it. It shows him handing that. I thought it was photoshopped at first. Yeah. It becomes a huge deal. He has to, I think it was Thursday. He has to apologize, of course. And there's, a lot of people on social media saying that this is an example of, how is this a joke in 2023 and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I don't give a crap. I don't care. It's a joke between two guys. People will say, well, it's public, it sends the wrong message. He's a girl father, he's a girl dad. It's just, that's what happened. And so I don't give a crap about it, but I was getting a little heated when I see the responses of some people making this like the biggest deal on the planet Earth. And that's what bothers me, the overreaction to things that never used to occur. It's all social media. It's all because everybody has a voice now. That's the ruination of the world right there, is social media. And I'm on it all the time because it's my business. I have to be. But I was having a discussion with somebody about the Chiefs-Bengals game a couple of weeks ago and how bad the officiating was in that game. And this person's younger than me, maybe 10 years younger than me, said, you know what? The officiating's gotten worse in the NFL. And I said, I don't think it has. And the point they made was, back in 1986, just random, 1996, whatever, take a random time, before social media was prevalent. People weren't complaining about the officiating. Yeah, they were. They were complaining to their buddy at work and their group of small friends And that's it. That's as far as it went. Now it's social media. It blows up and it becomes this huge thing. And now it looks like the officiating is 10 times worse than it was in 1986. It's not. The officiating is the same. It still sucks at times. But now there's a voice for all these people to claim that the NFL is rigged and all this. So this is I don't even know how we got on this subject. Oh, presidents, Trump, cancellation, Tiger. They want to cancel Tiger, all this garbage.
So let me try and unpack this. So if Tiger Woods was, I think your point about this was a joke between friends and each other. I guess the issue that it was public. I guess but it wasn't intended for anybody other than his friends. So
Right.
so what is it? What is it? Anybody else's business? But because of social media, it becomes a huge issue. And then the other thing on it is like the oversensitivity. You know what I mean? My thing on this is like how if someone isn't targeting anybody specifically, this is between two people, okay? If he was targeting a woman, let's say, with that comment, for example, I would say, okay, well, he's specifically targeting this person. He's going out his way to point something out. That's one thing. But when it's between two guys and their friends, and here's my thing: why is everything dictated by the PC police? It's if it's something between two people and somehow it's filmed, okay? In this case, right? It's between two people or three people and it's filmed. It's unintended for them and it's filmed. Why is that any sort of issue? The issue to me is why are people butting into everybody's business? Okay? Now, if it was something where it was like a public statement, right? Like I don't know. He's on there, and it's part of it's part of the PGA Tour, and he's talking about something, and he uses a term out into the public that and even if he didn't mean anything by it, it somehow starts to offend people because it's a situation where it's publicly addressing everyone, and the bottom line is women don't understand how men are. Okay, I could understand not the outrage, but maybe being slightly upset because I just know, and you're married, and women don't understand how men interact with each other. Okay, this is the bottom line, the truth, and the way that men interact with each other is completely unintended for female consumption. Okay, in a lot of cases, and they used to say, "Oh, it's locker room talk." Okay, well, we don't. If we're in a press conference and we talk locker room talk, yeah, I guess that would be inappropriate. Okay, if we're in a press conference and we're getting interviewed for public consumption and we talk quote unquote, if we're between each other and that's the case, then I think it's crazy. Now, obviously, he was doing it on a in an area where people could see him, but it wasn't for public quote unquote consumption, right? So it's kind of crazy that the world, because of social media, is peered into private lives. I mean, look, we're on, we're on public every day. I mean, every week, once a week, our tweets are out there. Whatever we say, but those are a public forum where we're kind of like whatever we say, we say. Um, people can like it or not like it, but like a private conversation or a private interaction getting publicized, it's kind of hard to cancel people for a private interaction. But it's crazy because now everything is consumed. So you don't even know if you're in a private and this wasn't his buddies that consumed it or publicized it. But like if you're in a room with a couple of your friends, you better make sure you know who your friends are, right? Because you don't want those private conversations out there. I think it's absolutely crazy because of social media. Um, it's everybody's offended by everything. There are things to be offended by, but let's be offended by the things that are really offensive. You know what I'm saying? Not things that are like, uh, oh, lightly this or lightly that or unintended for public consumption. Like it's crazy. If someone throws out a racial slur in a press conference, okay, we should be offended by that. That's something that's legit. If somebody targets somebody, like in New Jersey, there was the bullying case where, I don't know if you saw the story, but the bullying case where a 14-year-old girl in New Jersey at a public school was beat up by four other girls, jumped in the hallway. They put it out on social media. Okay, she was so embarrassed she killed herself. It's a horrendous story. Okay, and I said this on Twitter. I said those people should be tried for murder. Okay, and a lot of people obviously, agree to. But the bottom line is they're not going to be tried for murder. The biggest problem was the superintendent didn't even report it to the police. They went to the police, all these things, and nothing happened. And the girl ended up so upset. And you know how teenagers are. They're so, especially girls at that age, very impressionable with social media. And at 14 years old, she ended up killing herself. And, people are outraged. I mean, I think those people at minimum should be in jail for a very long time. I don't care what it is. Someone's life was lost because of it. And I don't care whether someone had any issues or not. They specifically target her. So those are things to me you should be outraged about. People should be outraged about those kind of things, right? Those are real things to be outraged. When we get outraged about stuff what's going on about Tiger Woods, then when something like this happens, a bullying case, or people don't know what's really important to be outraged about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's this woman, Sarah Spain. She works on ESPN, and she's been like, there's been other females that have been very, very adamant about this issue with Tiger Woods. But Sarah Spain is the one I noticed. She's got 300,000 followers. She does, I don't know what show she hosts on ESPN, whatever. I'm sure she's good at what she does. I've never seen her to say she's not good or good. I know who she is. I don't really follow her that much. But I noticed that she was doubling down on this pretty hard. And people were, in her comments and mentions going hard at her because she was so opinionated about this issue. And then yesterday, and again, you talk about the New Jersey bullying case. Yesterday, she quote tweets something that says, 9 children, including a 5-year-old, were shot at a Georgia gas station, I think Saturday. They survived, but they're going to be haunted forever. It's barely being reported because everybody survived, blah, blah, blah. So she quote tweets this and says, we didn't even hear about it yesterday. We live in a nightmare. That's her only comment on that. 9 people being shot, okay, including a 5-year-old. She's got 50 billion comments about Tiger Woods. Now, I know she works in sports, so that's more relevant. But again, this is an example of you're going to go, as deep as you can on this Tiger Woods garbage over and over and over and over again, because you're outraged by it, yes, but you're also getting attention from it and all the other aspects that come with being outraged. Fake outrage has been occurring probably over the last, I liken it to Trump. When Trump started in office, fake outrage became a big thing. And he said fake news, and to me, it's fake outrage. There's different sides of it. I mean, you could be outraged by something, but sometimes when you're overly outraged by something, you're looking for attention. You're looking for people to follow you. You're looking to build your name. You're looking to get on the news, all this other stuff. So you react outrageously to something that's not outrageous just for attention. And then to your point, you act very unoutrageously compared to what you reacted about Tiger Woods to a shooting. I mean, what are we doing? Like, okay, so, and I get it. I'm not here to police what you're supposed to be outraged by,
right,
or not,
right.
But I'm saying in the whole scope of things. So, a friend of mine, you know Mark Koshanik, right?
Yes, sure.
Good friend of mine. Been working with him for over 20 years. Somebody was talking to me, I think it was Tuesday, talking to me about their problems. this, that, and the other. I don't know what it was about. I can't remember, but it was like, oh, geez, I didn't get this, something stupid, like, oh, I wanted to get a new driver. But they ordered it and it came defective. I had to return it. Oh my gosh, a golf driver. And then Mark's texted me, his best friend is having a heart transplant. And I'm looking at these two texts, and one's complaining about, the fact that they got a Callaway driver that was faulty and they have to return it. And oh my God, the end of the world. And the other one's talking about his best friend having a heart transplant. That's an 18-hour surgery. The first 2 weeks is 50-50 whether he's going to survive. First of all, the surgery. Secondly, the transplant itself. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, okay, Mark's got a real problem and an issue that he's dealing with and his friend's dealing with. And then the other one is just stupid. So, but you can't call out stupid. If I called out Sarah Spain or anybody else who's overreacting to this, I would be flooded with people, not because they disagree with me, because they don't like me, because maybe they think I don't like Florida State, or maybe they think I don't like Ohio State or whatever. They don't like me because they just don't like me. First of all, there's a jealousy aspect of having a platform and being in the industry for this long. Secondly, everybody thinks I hate their team. So let's say, a Florida State fan with an axe to grind about my Mike Norvell comments last year saying I didn't think he was going to win 6 games when he won 10, sees what I say. They don't have an opinion on it, but they disagree with me because they don't like me. And then all of a sudden that becomes their, oh, this is misogynistic and sexist. You're an idiot. And then people that follow them, maybe females, get upset, think I am that, and then come and attack me. So there's no point even like getting involved in this, even us talking about it. I mean, I know a lot of people don't listen to the podcast and stuff like that, but even us talking about it, it's almost pointless. I would love to just call out everything. I don't have the energy to do it. There are people that do it. Kudos to them. But the fake outrage has just become way too much in society. He didn't hand it to him on camera like this in front of everybody. He slipped it to him, as they have done for years and years and years, clearly. I mean, obviously, this is a running joke. If he's got tampons in his golf bag,
have you watched Full Swing? You ever watch Full Swing?
I watched the first 2 episodes. I love it. I love it. You seen the whole thing?
I've watched a couple episodes. I'm like, you're a much bigger golf fan than I am, but I enjoy the kind of behind the scene details of something, you know what I'm saying, that I don't know as much about. I mean, I could get, when you see, like, just even a Full Swing, these guys spend so much time together, especially the ones that, like, they're they're competitors, but they're friends, you know what I mean? And it's a unique relationship. I do like it at this, like, in college football, when you're like, I was a linebacker my last few years, and in the linebacker room, right, everyone's trying to start, you're the starter, but if the guys behind you are friends with you, but obviously they'd like your job too, right? So it's the same thing with, like, the guys. So I find Full Swing interesting because you're playing with your friends at the same time you're trying to beat your friends, right? And there's a unique aspect to it that I think is a very uniquely male thing. Now, I'm sure it happens in girl sports too. But having coached both boys and girls, although in sports, boys and girls are different as competitors. I'm not saying they don't compete hard. They both compete really hard. But what they require in order to compete at their best is a different approach. Men are like men, even boys. I've noticed some of like my son's age. Some of them you could really, like, you have to pump them up, right? And some of them you have to talk to them very kindly in order to get it done. Girls, I've noticed the whole key aspect is to have them enjoying the process, right? And when they enjoy the process, they seem to perform well, right? Like, everybody's that's on their team is on their side. Now, when they go against the other team, they're pretty fierce, all of them. But it's just a different approach. And so what I noticed with all these kind of things is basically, to me, and I'll admittedly say that I'm not a psychological expert, but to me, just from my many years of coaching, there is some sort of psychology working with kids and seeing how they interact. Um, Men compete with each other a certain way that most other people outside of being a man might find difficult or offensive. It's the same reason why people go nuts when coaches are yelling on the sidelines or something like that. Well, having coach girls, even when I'm intense with a girl, I won't flat out yell at them. It's just a different approach. It's okay for the two sexes to have a slightly different approach to life. I don't understand why it's always such a big deal. The best statement, and I know people, I can't think of the guy's name now, but people either love him or hate him. I mean, I don't agree with everything he says, but a lot of the stuff he says, I think, point out great points. The guy from Outkick,
Oh yeah, what's his name?
uh, Clay Travis.
Clay Travis. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I think especially stuff with the men women thing. I think a lot of or the fake outrage thing. I think he's right on a lot of those. His obviously job is to be over the top, so sometimes he'll go way over.
Well, he goes fake outrage in the opposite direction, like
Correct.
and then on purpose because it's his job.
He's gone. At first, he was fighting fake outrage. It was great, but now
Right.
everything is everything is to fight the other side, okay, which makes it again go the opposite extreme. But one thing he pointed out, or I think it was him that pointed this out, was this whole thing about the girls soccer. I know what it was. It was Alex Morgan, who's a girl Olympian soccer player who normally is not like a overly wokester person or anything like that, but she was said she's all for how do you say trans men playing on women's soccer, like if they identify as a woman, trying out for U.S. women's soccer team. She's for it, and his whole point was, if we took 25 of the best 25 men who like say college soccer players who decided they were going to identify as women and go against those women in soccer, there would be no biologically biological women on that team, which is 100% correct. And that's my whole that's the whole thing about, like, you go crazy with this overly fighting on things to your own detriment, and women not willing to, like, hello, Title IX to me was the most important thing for women. That's why so many women have succeeded in sports. That's why they're so successful. That's why you have college scholarships for women. That's something to fight for. It is not. I don't think trans people should be able to compete. No doubt about it. In my opinion, in their own category, I have no problem with it. I don't care if you're a man, woman, in between, green, purple, whatever the hell you want to be, go be it. But you shouldn't be able to compete with a biological woman, because if I had a daughter, I'd be fuming, because I know you put me in the 100-meter dash in high school as a woman, and yes, guess what? I am not only the state champion, but I am also the national champion. And I wouldn't make the finals in the 100-meter dash of the state championship as a boy. So those things to me are like, women should fight for their own priority to be competing against themselves only. So we're getting this whole world of trying to be politically correct and be nice to everybody, where we're have these fake outrage and these fake things, instead of, like I said before, fighting for something that's really important. Women should fight for their right to compete with just women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and again, there's a lot of people. I mean, the smaller percentage of people that have the fake outrage, they get listened to more. The people, like me and you, that don't think this is a big deal and that this is just a joke between friends and this is just something that's been going on forever, and maybe it needs to stop. I don't know. I don't think it does. I mean, I think it's just, again, between friends. I when I'm on the golf course, I'm not great at golf, but when I'm with my buddies and they're not great at golf either, they're a little better than me. if they suck, I tell them they suck. I tell them they're an idiot, a moron, whatever. It's just fun, ball busting stuff. But am I offending idiots? Am I offending morons? I don't know. Maybe. Do I have to worry about offending morons? Do I have to worry about, like, if somebody pushes a driver 180 yards and I say you hit like a girl? Do I have to worry about that? People come into the comments and they say, well, women drive the golf ball on average, I don't know, 100 yards less than men on average, whatever. There's tees for women. There's tees for seniors. There's tees for regular golfers. There's tees for pros. Should we get rid of those? Because that's sexist. I mean, you shouldn't have women's tees. I don't know. It baffles me. It confuses me.
It's confusing.
I have my opinions. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a funny joke. Sorry. Maybe I'm an ass. Maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm a macho sexist. I think it's a funny joke. What I think is really outrageous is the overreaction to it, by people looking to get attention for themselves. And I think that's what's happening here. So, I mean, I could talk about this as a political issue, I could talk about this stuff for hours daily on a podcast, and I can give you my true opinions on it. I really don't care, but I also don't want the headache that goes with it. I mean, if I was on a national radio show right now, not on a podcast with you, where a few people are watching, if I was on like Full Ride Radio or something that I do, which goes to a national audience, we wouldn't talk about this. It wouldn't come up.
That would Chris Child?
That's what Chris Childler. It would never. It's not a topic. It's not Chris Childler's fault. It's not Rick Neuheisel's fault. The producers never, ever in a million years let us talk about this. We talk about some funny stuff,
right?
But political stuff. You just mentioned, transgender. Not in a million years would that word ever be able to be used or talked about or discussed. Sexism, not in a million years. Racism, not in a million years. None of this stuff would be allowed to be talked about because that's just the way it is. And the headache that would be involved isn't worth it. It's just not worth it to talk about. And then to have people say, well, you should cancel Farrell on Full Ride every week. He's this, that, and the other. But what they want to do is they kind of want to, it's not, I don't want to clarify it as fun, but they want to take away people's individual personalities. Tiger Woods is an old school golfing dude. On that, what's it called? Full Swing? What's it called? The Netflix?
I think it's Full Swing, yeah.
Full Swing. The first episode is about JT and Spieth.
Yep.
Grew up, going to different colleges, competed, bust each other's balls all the time, root for each other. But as guys do, if I don't win, I want him to win. But if I'm playing against him, I want him to suck. And I'm going to remind him of he sucks. And I'm going to remind him every step of the way. They're playing for money in that episode, if you notice, and they're very competitive about it. The second episode is about Brooks Koepka, who I absolutely love more than I ever did before. I was never either high or low on Koepka. But the dude keeps it real, and a lot of people don't like him now. His wife is talking to him, and he's thinking about his golf swing, and he's admitting that he's sort of drowning her out in his head because he can't stop thinking about his golf swing. He won, 4 tournaments in 2 years. He hasn't got back to that winning recently. Now he's over at Live Golf, so he's not going to be talked about much at all because the PGA won't talk about Live golfers at all. But he's really honest in that. He's like, this is torturing me. This is tormenting me. I think I stink at golf. I'm not good. I used to be good. It affects his family life, every bit of it. And he curses all the time, and people would be like, well, that's just crass. He's not smart, blah, blah. I love him because he's real. I like real. This is not real. This Sarah Spain stuff is not real. This Mina Kimes stuff is not real. All these ESPN talking heads that are outraged by this joke, it's not real. What's real is this was a joke. To them, it's funny, and that's all that matters. I have no judgment of it whatsoever.
Well, that's part of ESPN. ESPN is like it has an interesting overall agenda. I mean, I know what their main agenda.
It's woke central.
It's woke central. But I always find it so funny. Like everybody, if I turn on my ESPN in the morning, I see two guys screaming at each other the whole entire time. Whether it's what's his name,
Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman
they're yelling at each other.
or
Max,
Ryan Clark or all these guys.
It's absurd. And then the other show was Skip and Skip.
Oh,
All they do
Shannon
is
Sharp.
yell at each other.
Right.
All they
That's
do
what,
is, like, I know it's a stick. I mean, good golly, nope. It's like now. I grew up in a family where people, where a lot of people could cannot handle like my parents, their siblings, because they would be hollering at each other all the time. But not offend. They'll get at each other, and that's how I grew up. People would get at each other and then hug at each other. You know what I mean? Whether it's political or whatever. That's the family I grew up in. People would get at each other at the
right.
dinner table all together, and you'd be sitting there as kids, and you would be like, "Do they like each other?" And then obviously they're laughing 2 seconds later, right? So there's a lot. I don't know if people didn't grow up in this culture because we're in a generation ahead. I guess they probably didn't. There's less kids now. There's less families being together as a group, like from that standpoint. But it's I mean, ESPN's agenda is to just uh, churn out drones that look exactly the same, do exactly the same thing, think no different than each other, no real thoughts, type of thing. And it's funny because they don't want anybody to be offended, but all these shows they turn on, all the people are doing is just yelling at each other. And like,
That's what people want. So when I first started my own website, I was given advice, and it's good advice. Just find somebody, a partner that you could just disagree with, whether it's your opinion or not, and just yell about something all day long, every day. And when I was first introduced to ESPN, when I first got on ESPN back in the early 2000s, I kind of had an idea what happened there. But when I was in production meetings, I was on a show, I forget what it was called, the coaches something, and it was Jim Donnan, Lou Holtz, I think it was Trevor Maddich, myself, and somebody else. We'd have production meetings, and I'm sure they have them now to the nth degree about a topic. And one person would have to pick one side, the other person would have to pick the other side, whether they agreed or not. Okay, let's say it's 2004, USC is going to win the national championship. Okay, we can't have everybody agreeing that that's going to happen. So who wants to take the side that it's not going to happen? And it wasn't fake. You could come up with ideas, of course, as to how they wouldn't win it and this, that, and the other. But that's what it is. Disagreement is what moves the needle now. It's what people want. They want to be upset about stuff. They want to disagree with you. It's why, regular journalism is kind of out the window now, and it's all opinion. I could write an opinion article on how NIL stinks. It's horrible for college football. And it'll get a lot more attention than if I write an article breaking down, the college football national championship chances next year for UGA and Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan, all that stuff. And if I say NIL sucks, the people that will be in my mentions will be the ones that say, oh, you just want players not to be paid. You want these coaches to make billions and millions, and you want the NCAA to make millions and billions, and kids shouldn't. And then it will turn into race. It'll be like, oh yeah, you don't want young African-American players to get paid. And I'm like, how did this even happen? And that's what the way it will digress, but that's what people want. They want to agree and disagree with stuff. And so it gets to the point. I mean, I saw one with Michael Irvin and Ryan Clark. They are screaming. I can't understand anything they're saying. They're screaming at each other. And it's a bit where they do like 5 different things and they agree or disagree with each other, but they're literally yelling and I can't understand a word I'm saying. And there's a lot of gesturing and stuff like that. And I'm like, I would like to really know what the opinion is about this, but I can't understand it. And with Skip and Shannon, sometimes they're yelling over each other. I can't understand it. And same thing with, Get Up. I watch all these shows.
Yeah.
I'm interested in them. I'm interested in the topics because they give me ideas to write about. Whether it's they could have an NFL topic, on who's the better quarterback, right now, heading into the Chiefs Bengals game. Is it Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes? They give me the idea of like, okay, is it CJ Stroud versus JJ McCarthy? I know Stroud's leaving, but it gives me ideas. But the over the topness is just there, and that's what people want, and that's what we're going to have to be dealing with all. And again, I guess being outraged by the outrage just leads to more outrage, and that's what they want. They do. I mean, so I'm outraged at Sarah Spain. I don't know her.
Yeah, right.
But and that's what she wants.
Get outraged. I don't actually get. I just think these things are so absurd. Like, please, like, okay, can we please take down the spy balloon, but not shoot down an actual balloon that a kid let go?
I see those. I see no balloon rides. I don't even know what happened with the spy balloon. I don't even care. I don't care about that stuff. Like what matters to me, honestly.
They shot down a spy balloon.
Oh, I know.
They didn't do it.
I heard about it.
But then another one came into space. It turned out it was like, I don't know, someone's balloon.
And they shot that down too, probably.
With an F-14.
You know what bothers me? What affects me on a daily basis is what I focus on. And that may sound selfish, but, I text Mark about his buddy. How's he doing? If you're in my life and it's important, then I care about it. If and this is probably a bad attitude, but there's nothing I can do about it. The Tiger Woods joke. I don't care. I'm not going to comment about it. I don't care about. We're talking about it now, obviously, because of the woke situation and all the outrageous overreactions and stuff like that. But I mean, it's not going to change anything. Coming out and saying that's a bad joke. Well, yeah, it will change something. It'll stifle. That will never happen again. So now a joke that they've had running clearly for 20 plus years or 15 years or 10 years or whatever, gone. Maybe for the right, maybe for the wrong, but it's gone. You've destroyed it. And you've made, I think, them less human. You've kind of curtailed a little bit of their fun.
That's why comedy sucks now. That's why comedy, which used to be great, thank goodness there's a few guys still like I can't think of the guy, Bill Burr and Chappelle. They still take chances. Like people are like, oh, Chappelle. Like there are things that could be deemed offensive that they each say, but it's within the comedy act. The whole point of comedy is that they're especially their style of comedy is that they're offending everyone. Like it's like I don't know, but they're like the last two. Oh, I mean, maybe there's a couple others that I don't know.
There's a few other. I mean, there's some really funny stuff out there, and again, it depends on what the movement of the moment is. Louis C.K. was very funny and he was politically incorrect, and then he got caught up in the Me Too movement with sexually harassing somebody, which is obviously serious, and then he became sort of canceled, and then he made a comeback, but he's a little bit watered down now as to what he was. Howard Stern has always been the one who's just never. He was sort of untouchable because he just pushed through it all. He lost sponsors. He lost everything, but now he's, a complete liberal, woke, won't let anybody in his house out of fear of COVID, all talk about vaccinations and all this stuff. I think he lost his mind and he went completely to the right because he used to have Trump on his show, and Trump used to grade women, like on a 1 to 10 scale for him.
I remember.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they had a falling out when Trump was running for president because Howard was the Hillary Clinton guy. And then all of a sudden after that, Trump got in office, Stern went completely liberal, 100%. There was a time where you didn't know which he was. And then you knew, and now you completely, I had to stop listening to it because there's so much agenda in it. And I love him and I love the show. But, look at this. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel did a bit 100 years ago in blackface, almost got canceled. Howard Stern did it 100 years ago as well. Nobody touched him. Like, why is there one rule for one person and not a rule for another person? Why does Bill Burr get away with it and other people can't? I don't have the explanation for any of it. I really don't. I just think we're obviously, more of a society that focuses on what's wrong than what's right. I just put up a video on Twitter of DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway is a 5-star quarterback in the 2024 class, committed to Florida. He's doing this 7-on-7 thing, and he does this arm angle thing, which of course is impossible. He's throwing across his body, low arm angle, Patrick Mahomes type, right to where the offensive line would be, but there's no offensive lineman in 7-on-7. So it's a sidearm throw for a touchdown in 7-on-7. Whoop-de-doo. I didn't comment on the throw because the throw was it's not real life. That would never happen. It couldn't happen in a game. I commented that he looked taller and more filled out because he was like a 6-foot guy. I think he's closer to 6'2" now. He looks like he's getting big. In my comments, it's like, that throw's stupid. That throw would never happen. This is dumb. This, that, and the other. Like, the negative portion of that is what everybody's talking about. Nobody's talking about the one simple fact that I said he's getting tall. People want negativity. That's what they want.
Well, I noticed on your feed where, Ben, I was so surprised. Like, you post like our D1 promos, you post the players, great stuff on them. You get a handful of comments, maybe. A lot of people view it, a ton of views. People view it because the people we want to view it. But the negative Nellies, stay away from your positive content, right? But when you talk about, like, I don't know, any kind of semi toss-up topic, you know what I mean? Like, if you have an opinion on something, you like your old prove me wrong thing kind of stuff. They go nuts. They go bonkers. It's like, it's amazing to me how it's swung so far. I saw like a YouTuber guy. I watch a lot of these videos because I'm always, trying to grow what we're doing. And I saw this video, and a guy went through this whole thing, and they said, well, if you really want to just get a ton of views, just say negative stuff constantly.
Oh my God. Yeah.
After explaining how to get millions of views and money, but he basically said, bottom line is, you know what? If you don't want to do it, if you really just want to get right through the chase, you put out a bunch of negative stuff and people will view it.
Oh my God. So if I write something, and this is the difficult portion of college football, but it's also the fun portion. If I write something positive about Michigan and don't even mention Ohio State fans get upset. And if I do the opposite with Ohio State, Michigan fans get upset. But the most popular articles that I've had on my website, we're coming up on 10 months, we've been launched, have been negative. How Jimbo Fisher is the most toxic human being on earth. Viral. Urban Meyer is a scumbag. Viral. On and on. Whereas I write an article about Matt Rule and what a great coach he is, and these are the reasons why I think he's a good fit for Nebraska and why he could be successful. Crickets. Nebraska fans clicked on it, but nobody else cares because
they watched it. They'll view it, but there's no comments coming on those things.
They won't even view it, bro. I mean, I'm looking at my analytics. Nebraska fans will view it.
Right.
Iowa fans will look at it. They'll ignore it because it's positive. Now, if I said Matt Rule sucks and he was horrible with the Panthers and the guy stinks as a coach and he's washed up, Nebraska fans will go nuts, first of all, because they're blinded by, their loyalty to the team. Then in Iowa fans, Minnesota fans, Wisconsin fans, even, across Ohio State, Michigan, they would all go crazy. That's what I could do. But it's not my opinion. It's not my real opinion. And of course, then I would get a text immediately from who? Matt Rule. You're saying, what the hell are you doing? And all this other stuff. And I'd have to do that. But that's not why I don't do stuff. I got coaches mad at me all the time. I have my honest opinion and want to go with it. Now, if I want to make my website, we talked about this last week. If I want to make my website successful, I'll rank 105 stars. We talked about that. And I'll tear into everybody. I'll say Kirby Smart is overrated. He won 2 national championships, but I'll say he's overrated. He got lucky. He can't manage quarterbacks. He's Saban taught him everything. I'll just do that. I'll get a lot of clicks. I'll get a ton of attention.
Yeah.
But it's not my opinion. I'm not going to do that. So part of me is I'm a dumb businessman because you're right. Negativity is what people want.
Well, think about the reason why that would be, right? So Georgia fans, let's say there's, I don't know, a million Georgia fans right out there. I'm sure there's more than that, but let's say there's a million. Well, you say something positive about them, your marketplace is a million. You say something negative, your marketplace is the whole United States minus Georgia fans. So 364 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
364 million. So if you think about the marketplace for negativity, the marketplace for positivity affects the people that you're talking about and the people that are interested in them positively. Negative stuff talks to everyone who has no interest in that group that you're talking about. So that,
And those
yeah,
million that would consume a Kirby Smart article and maybe click on it and like it, if it was positive, and the others wouldn't care. If I write something negative about Kirby Smart, those million Georgia fans, oh, they're going to read it and they're going to comment and it's going to go crazy. They're going to say, "You suck. You're an idiot. You're so stupid. How you're so stupid. You won 2 national championships in a row." Blah blah blah, and it blows up because not only you bring it in 100 billion other people, 300 million other people, but you're poking a hornet's nest of those million Georgia fans.
Great point.
And
You're
then
both sides
it blows up.
Both sides comment, right?
Oh my gosh. But negativity is the only thing that does that. If I write a positive article about Kirby Smart, I may get a couple Bama fans saying here and there that he sucks. I see a couple Vols fans saying that they got lucky last year, that Hooker got hurt, whatever. Very minimal comments, very minimal, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, honestly, everything I write should be negative. Everything. And I'm a pessimistic person. I'm generally a negative person. I really am, but I'm not going to do that. And I don't care. Kirby Smart, he didn't care about me. He didn't give a crap what I think. He's not a friend of mine. I'm not friends with his. I'm not friends with any coaches. Just not. It's not because I don't want Kirby Smart texting me or his people reaching out to me or they're going to stop feeding me information or anything like that. It's just that it's not my opinion. And it's kind of, I wrote something today, Fact or Fiction, UGA's biggest threat. Fact or fiction, Tennessee Vols are the biggest threat to UGA. And my opinion is fiction, and the reason I brought it up is because Tennessee last year was the biggest threat to UGA. Alabama was not. Tennessee beat Alabama. LSU was not. When they got to the SEC championship game, they had 4 losses, I believe. It was Tennessee. They beat Alabama. They were undefeated going into that Georgia game. Georgia throttled them pretty good, but they were the biggest threat. So now my question is, are they the biggest threat this year? My answer is no. It's Alabama or LSU. They're stronger teams. Without Hendon Hooker, without Jalen Hyatt, they've lost a lot on offense. They're still going to be good offensively. I read all this stuff. A few people will read it. Now, if I wrote fact, then the Alabama fans get in there a little bit angry. The LSU fans get in there a little bit, and it gets more attention. But I'm not going to change my opinion on something just to get clicks.
Well, I think in the long run, though, here's why I go short run, long run. Short run negative really works. In the long run, you probably end up canceling yourself if you're overly negative. I think in the long run. Now, maybe you made your money someone made their money at that point, they don't care. But I think in the long run, if you get labeled like in what you do overly negative, from a business aspect, it could become an issue. Now, obviously, I'm wrong in some of these instances, but I think that if you're looking for, I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for.
It comes down to credibility, though.
Yeah, it goes down to credibility.
Credibility. It's pretty obvious if you're going to go negative on everybody. But credibility sometimes doesn't pay the bills.
Well, I listen. I was a huge Jason Whitlock fan. He's just too negative on everything now. Everything's negative. His whole thing is like fire. He's going to blow something up every single time. And I'm like, okay, isn't there anything that we could talk about that actually is a move, like advancing something forward? And then he only has people on who agree with him in the negativity. So I was a gigantic Jason Whitlock fan. And there's many things he talks about that I agree with. I agree with a lot of the things that he talks about. But I can't even watch the show anymore. Everything to me is just, all right, this group is bad. Even when I agree with them, I can't even watch it anymore because I just know what it's going to be about. I don't even have to watch the show. I can see the first segment, the first intro, and know what the whole show is going to be about because that's all they're going to talk about the whole entire time. So someone who I really think is a pretty good, I thought was a pretty good broadcaster, used to bring up some really interesting points. That's selling for him. It's no doubt it's selling, and his is selling on more to the right, but it's no doubt it's selling, and he just doubled down on it. And I just think in the long run, like I don't know, the viewer who has a brain, you know what I'm saying? Like you or I like to think I have somewhat of a brain. You know, basically is like I can't take it after a while. You know.
Yeah.
You
I
got to
got a
go.
hard out. I got a hard out in 2 minutes. So it's the D1 promo, www.myfootballcamps.com/D1, and then myfootballcamps.com/ is it transfer?
Transfer for the transfer.
These are great opportunities to get exposure. They've been going well for a lot of people. I won't get into specific examples of that, but we got Power 5 to FCS to prefer walk-on Power 5 where they we're never thinking about playing at that level. Winterfest is this weekend, Saturday in Hillsboro. I'll be tweeting out about that with the registration link. Heading to Jersey. I'm going to see my old buddy John Schmidt. You remember John?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, All-American Games. I hit him up. Yeah, it's funny. We got some stories, he and I, to talk about. There was something, I was going to be involved in something, and then somebody else in this industry got his little boxers in a wad about it and had a little hissy fit and temper tantrum, and it didn't work out for me and John because of this. But just so many people so insecure, so disgustingly insecure in this industry. It just kind of cracks me up. But
that's a big issue in this industry.
Oh, it's unbelievable. So, and you and I know it, but people don't know it out front. But, I was following up with him. I'm like, I haven't heard from you in 6 months about this. He's like, oh, this is what happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Is he still doing the? I see
Yeah.
things, but I don't know.
He's still doing that. He's he's the personnel manager. He handles all the logistics of the tour and the travel and the kids down there in San Antonio. He's also on the committee for selection and stuff like that too. So I'll catch up with him in Jersey. I'm sure I'll catch up with some other people in Jersey. I'm going to bolt. You could talk a little bit more about the promo if you want.
I do want to say Winterfest. This is going to be a great event. myfootballcamps.com/winter. Mike's got to head out. I'll head out too.
Yeah, I got to head out. So you keep talking and then cancel it for us because I got to head out.
You got it. I'll close it out. Right. If you go to myfootballcamps.com/winter, there's a ton of prospects that have already signed up for it. So you're going to get an opportunity to compete against some really good people in front of me and Mike. It's a unique opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to actually get looked at. And just because of our D1 promo, the rating systems that both me and Mike have, these are opportunities for you to get the thing that you guys all want, which is stars, the opportunity to get ranked, the opportunity to get looked at, and the opportunity to get promoted. All that will be in one. You got to get there. myfootballcamps.com/D1. We talked about the promo. myfootballcamps.com/winner. And then for the promo, myfootballcamps.com/D1. We'll see you next week. Keep working, keep getting better, and we are out.